in response to the two Project Veritas videos, the first one talking about violence at Trump rallies, which was incited by Democratic operatives, Democratic Party groups working to elect Hillary Clinton, and the second one talking about voter fraud. Though in the second one, you can see that it's more of a hypothetical case situation. They're talking about what they could do to commit voter fraud. But I think there is something that's deeply disturbing about the second video. Like, I think the first one is obviously far more damaging because, at least from the perspective of a Trump supporter, you kind of get pissed off a lot more at the first video than the second one, because the first video, well, every single one that has supported Trump has been demonized and smeared and slammed for the violence at Trump rallies. And then it turns out that Democratic operatives are responsible for that because they do egg people on, they do hire people, they do train people, and then they send the mentally ill, the elderly, and the homeless people to be deliberately beaten up at Trump rallies, to egg people on, to elicit a reaction. They do it. Deliberately, they do it. Now, that might be fine in the eyes of some people, but it's certainly not acceptable. Now, there is an argument to be made that obviously there is a responsibility for the people that support Trump. That's a fair enough point, but look, these are provocators. And obviously, when you have provocators in a charged election, in a charged media landscape, then yeah, you're gonna get that kind of reaction. And they wanted that reaction, and they were prepared for it. That's exactly what they wanted. That's what they got. And Scott Fovel, who was bragging about that, he got fired over it. Like, after the first video, Sean Hannity, only guy in the mainstream media that was talking about it, contacted Americans United for Change, and they basically said, yeah, we got rid of it because he doesn't represent us. And then you had Robert Kramer, that's his full name, who's married to a congresswoman from Chicago. And by the way, he is a convicted... he was convicted to several months in prison for things he did, I believe, tax evasion a while ago. He said, Scott Favell is literally a piece of shit. He didn't quite say that, but he had a negative opinion on him. He also said something that I found interesting. Look, I've been put by the DNC in this position since June. I think it's kind of interesting because the violence, the vast majority of the violence at Trump rallies was before June. Like, it was during the primaries, not during the general election. I mean, there's been a couple of cases here and there, but for the most part, it's died down. So, I might be willing to accept Bob Kramer's account, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't involved in that. But then you have the issue that he reveals, yeah, we're colluding with, super PACs, PAC groups like this one are not supposed to collude with the campaign. And they're like, yeah, Hillary, of course, knows what's happening. We do collude. We do communicate. Actually, this is a problem with Citizens United, that super PACs, PAC groups, overall, they do collude with the campaigns. It is obvious something that is happening. So both Bob Kramer and Scott Favell have lost their jobs. One was fired, the other one resigned. So as The Hill called it, and as several other media outlets called it, James O'Keefe adds another scalp from his videos. He got 2 people fired for 2 videos. Now, it remains to be seen what exactly he has up his sleeve, but, those 2 people getting fired, and then the DNC, the Hillary Clinton campaign, giving an official response to this. Their surrogate saying, it's Hillary's surrogate saying, this is horrific what they said, but it's not something that proves anything. That's true, it doesn't prove anything, but the fact you had to give a reply, the fact you fire people, well, the videos themselves are not necessarily evidence of anything, but they're confirmation bias. Look, even among Hillary Clinton voters, not supporters. She does have her genuine supporters who won't care, but among voters, there is, among a significant chunk of her voters, there is a sense that she is like this, that she would do something like this. Like, I showed the first video to a buddy of mine who really hates Trump, despises the Republicans, hates Trump, and and was sliming me for the violence at Trump rallies, like was calling me out on that. I showed him this video and it's like, there's a very compelling argument on that. Like, you can look at James O'Keefe, you can call into question his character, and I do think that, with some of the things he did, like Acorn and all that, that he was going too far. And look, the videos are obviously edited, and the second one about voter fraud, it's clear that they were egging them on, Scott Favell, Bob Kramer. Like, Bob Kramer was intelligent enough to say, I'm not going to admit to voter fraud to someone, to someone there. Like, he didn't admit something like that. Scott Favell was bragging about voter fraud. Yeah, we've been doing this for 50 years. We've been bussing people around for 50 years. Do you think we're going to stop? No, we're not going to stop. And then he was proposing an alternate plan. Look, busing doesn't work anymore. And he would add that to the New York election commissioner, who admitted on camera, yeah, there is voter fraud. And by the way, that guy's a Democrat. Oops. Oops. You have a major issue here. Now, people can call into question James O'Keefe's character, his past actions, but look at the tapes. Like, you can call into question some of the things, you can notice the editing, but the stuff Scott Favell and Bob Kramer and others admit is pretty damaging. The woman who was talking about, like, there were two people talking about the Chicago riot at the Trump rally, and they were proud, yeah, we pulled that off. Aaron Black and a woman who people found that she had been hired by the Clinton campaign, that she was on Clinton's payroll when that happened. So there's a reason why Clinton distanced herself from this. Like, Trump mentioned the first video at a rally he did in Colorado, I believe. And the media, and it's kind of hilarious to have Obama go and say, yeah, Trump is just a whiny little bitch when it comes to voter fraud. You don't say Obama. You don't fucking say Obama. Who's the whiny little bitch right now, huh? At least Democratic operatives agree, yeah, we are for voter fraud. I think one of the most disturbing things about it, like, here's the smoking gun on that. I was like, that's not evidence that they actually did something, but let's assume they egged them on. In the second video, you can make that point perfectly clear from the footage they showed that, yeah, they were egging them on. The Project Veritas people were egging those people on to get those responses, but none of them really seemed bothered by the idea of committing voter fraud. Like, none of them had a very negative reaction to it. It seemed something they were willing to hop on board. At least some of them, and then others, even if they didn't hop on board, Scott Favell was bragging about it openly. Others were like a bit reticent because they know how it could blow up in their face. And look, two people losing their jobs, this getting finally mainstream media coverage, strong responses from Hillary Clinton's campaign, from the DNC. Even if they're trying to smear James O'Keefe, this is the tactic of the Democrats. We don't care about the message. It's the messenger that's the problem. Oh, WikiLeaks revealing the Podesta emails. Oh, well, it's Russia. The stuff with James O'Keefe. Well, James O'Keefe is unreliable. He's an activist. Yeah, he's a conservative. He's a conservative activist. He admits he's a conservative activist. But you know what he said in the first video at the very end? Look, you need to pressure the mainstream media to investigate this. And he makes a fair point. The mainstream media should investigate this. And in fact, you might have legal authorities going and investigating this, because the actions there, some of them, or a lot of them, are actually illegal. Collusion between PACs and campaign, voter fraud. I'm not sure about violence, trying to egg on people, provoke people. I'm not sure if that's illegal, but it's certainly fucking unethical. The mentally ill, the elderly, the homeless people, getting those people, putting them on a payroll, and then bragging about doing something like that. Well, you can make the case that disrupting the Trump rally in Chicago, that's illegal, because, just because of the way they did it. So there's a lot of things that they've revealed so far that are really damaging. I saw it on CNN, I saw it on Fox. I saw people across the media landscape talking about this. And some people are going to bury their heads in the sand, like Young Turks, for instance. They're not talking about it so far. But this is only going to keep growing. And so far, 2 guys losing their jobs, mainstream media coverage, DNC response and all that, it's going to keep blowing up. And James O'Keefe has a lot more material. He says, yeah, we'll run these videos. We have videos to run until the election. So Hillary Clinton, Scott Adams, the hypnotist, the guy behind Dilbert, he said, unless a meteor lands on Hillary Clinton's head, then she's going to win. Well, I think you're going to have asteroids landing on Hillary Clinton's head. It's not just the tapes. It's not just the video footage. It's kind of funny that on the day of the first video, the first Project Veritas video, you had the FBI files that showed quid pro quo. So you certainly have an issue for Hillary Clinton. And then you have things like bird dogging in the Podesta emails. And you have things, have things lining up. Now, for a lot of people following this, they're going to look at this and say, yeah, this kind of makes sense. It's a persuasive argument that they would do something like this. So people are going to be turned off by that. We'll see how it develops. It certainly has gotten very interesting. Forget October surprises, October bombshells, October tactical nuclear missiles against both sides. This is what the race has devolved to. Costin here on Serious Gaming, signing out.